Today on Game Socket, we're blasting off into a special Mass Effect 3 episode. We're going to be talking all your favorite Mass Effect games, comics, and novels.
Sure you're ready for this?
Plus, Mike's not here, so we'll be talking more about video games than ever before.
You have led your people to their death.
Fire up the Mass Accelerator. You're about to fly into Commander Shepard's favorite podcast, Game Socket presents A Mass Effect Effect, an 11-year legacy. Starts now. Hello, welcome to Game Socket. My name is Brian Maupin, and I'm your guest host this week, filling in for Mike Graham, who is missing. I guess he's not missing. We know where he's at, but he's not here this week. And Mike asked me to fill in, so I was very glad to take the reins from him this week and really actually just talk about video games this week. I know you guys have been asking about it. When are you guys going to talk about games more on the Game Socket show? So this week we're talking all video games. It's a very special kind of themed episode, which I'll explain here in a little bit. But, you know, Mike is... Well, okay, so I suppose it's not a secret what's going on with Mike. You know, it's been on the Twitter. Mike was in LA last week, covering the E3 Electronic Entertainment Expo convention with Dominic, and he was holding some kind of social party after the show was over, where he was going to try and invite game developers and YouTubers and influencers in to his hotel to kind of, I guess, exchange business cards and get to know each other. I guess it turned into a big thing. It went sideways. So Mike is in a little bit of legal issue. He's having a little legal problems now. From what I understand, he may have been charged with providing an illegal substance to a minor, which I don't know how that happens. I wasn't there. I don't know how you let that happen. But you know, that's the charges. That's all I can say right now. I guess if Mike comes back, supposedly he'll be back next week, but we don't know that for sure at this point. But if he comes back next week, maybe we can get some more details out of him on that. I should say that Dominic did make it back, and congratulations to Dominic for not getting wrapped up in any of that. So I'm glad you're back. You're helping produce the show. From what I understand, you essentially had to hitchhike your way back, which is just... it's ridiculous, and I can't believe that it happened, that your own plane ticket would get sold out from underneath of you like that. And that's something else we can talk to Mike about when he comes back. I mean, maybe there's a good reason for that, but if that was to happen to me, I'd be livid. And you're taking it like you seem fine about it. So if you're happy, I'm happy. So today's episode is a very special episode. We are talking all about Mass Effect this episode. This is kind of a themed episode. We haven't done this before, so it's a bit of an experiment, and we're doing lots of experimental things this episode. But we're going to be talking all about Mass Effect, which is in my opinion, one of the best sci-fi franchises gaming has put out in recent years. It's near and dear to my heart. There's 4 really amazing games out there. There's countless novels. There's a comic book. There's an anime series for it, and we're going to kind of talk all about Mass Effect this episode and take a look back at its legacy, and I think talk a little bit about the future of the game. I know there was no new game announced at E3, which was kind of shocking and disappointing to me, but I know they're working on one, so maybe it just wasn't ready to be shown yet. But we'll do some speculation about what the future of Mass Effect, what shape that takes too. Also, this episode, we're taking live calls. We've never done this before, but the number is on your screen now, and you can give us a call. If you're watching live, that number is 816-200-1174, and you can talk to us live on air about Mass Effect. Call in anything about Mass Effect, favorite character, favorite storyline, favorite issue of the comic series, whatever it is you want to talk about Mass Effect-wise, give us a call, and you could be live on air with us. So. And if you call us after hours, if you're watching this archive stream on YouTube or on Mixer, still give us that number a call. You can leave us a voicemail, and we might use that in the future too. So a great episode coming up. We're going to be talking lots about Mass Effect, like I said, and I'm really looking forward to it. Before we get into that, we have a few housekeeping things to take care of. This story we've been kind of following. It seems like every episode I've been on so far, but we've been talking about my roommate, Marlson. He moved in a couple weeks ago, and things are still going good there. This is just kind of an epilogue to the story, and I think this will wrap it up from here. But he's got his stuff moved in. I've had to do a little bit of consolidation of the connects, the coasters, because this is shared space now, so it's kind of a 50-50 split. So I've consolidated some of those coaster sets. I still have a couple of them up, and I think I might make a new one. I don't know. Maybe that's a different segment regarding the connect stuff. On the plus side, he has been buying stuff for the place. We've got some new washcloths, which is great. We needed some new ones of that. So things are going great there. And I think that's it for the roommate update this week. The other thing, housekeeping wise, and this is more of a sponsor, I think, at this point, is Game Socks. We talked about this a few weeks ago. Game Socks are these coverings that I am building out. They're knitted coverings for your game controllers that you can slip on. They're decorative. They're themed to different games. Like, for example, we have a Sonic one. We have one that's Mario. We have a Detroit Become Human design out there as well. I make these myself. I actually taught myself how to knit off of YouTube. And I opened up the Etsy shop. We talked about it a few weeks ago, the possibility of it coming out, and now it's out for you guys to check out and make purchases from. I also do custom stuff, so if there's a game on there that you don't see, let me know, and I'll make one custom made for you. So definitely check out Game Socks. The address is on your screen now. Check them out. I should, just a quick note on these. They are not officially endorsed or affiliated with GameSocket, but Mike and I, if Mike comes back, if he recovers from this, I'm sure we'll work out some sort of business deal to make sure that these are legit and part of the Game Socket merchandise line. So, and now it's time to really jump into our very special episode. This is Game Socket Presents a Mass Effect Effect, an 11-year legacy. And our first segment of this episode is, what have you been playing recently Mass Effect-wise, and which Mass Effect's your favorite? So to get ready for this episode, I really was playing, kind of marathoning through all 4 Mass Effects. That's Mass Effect 1, Mass Effect 2, Mass Effect 3, and then Mass Effect Andromeda, which is the 4th one. And it's hard to pick a favorite, you guys, but I've got to say, the second one, if Dominic, if you're going to twist my arm and make me pick one, the second one especially is, I think, stands a little bit above the rest. It's got some really interesting characters, some really interesting female characters in that game. The costume design, especially on them, is crazy. It is skin tight, but I think that's something that you would wear in a 0G, environment in space. So, really amazing characters. They all look great, and a pretty good story too. So I think Mass Effect 2 has got to be my favorite if you made me pick. But I've been playing all of them. They're all great. And I'm just about through 3 right now, and I hope to get through 4 by the end of the week. I'm not going for the official world record speed run of it or anything like that, but I'm kind of playing them in order to kind of get the full complete experience. So all 4 great games. Can't wait for the 5th one. I'm sure that's coming down soon. All right, so that's what I've been playing recently, Mass Effect wise. So we're gonna keep going here, and I've got a very special presentation for you guys. This is something I've actually been working on for a while. This is a little documentary I've been editing together, and it's kind of, I guess, a labor of love. And I've actually been kind of working on this even before GameSocket started. This was, over the past couple of years, I've been putting this little documentary together. And it's a little long. I think it's around, it gets close to 20 minutes long, but I think you guys will like it a lot. It gives a lot of details, and it's actually specifically about my favorite character in the Mass Effect universe, and that's Miranda Lawson. Just an amazing character. Came in Mass Effect 2 and just completely changed, really elevated the game. A super interesting character. She's genetically engineered to be this, amazing fighter, to, attract the opposite sex and then lure them in. But she's a real person too. And she's not just, a piece of meat. So, you guys, I worked really hard on this. So just check it out. And I hope you guys like it.
Pardon me, Commander. I've cleared the engine room.
Miranda Lawson, the most popular Mass Effect character and the genetically engineered super soldier built for loving and for fighting. But there's much more than meets the eye with this Cerberus Mass Effect Miranda Lawson, a Mass Effect documentary today presented on the Connects fan
Dominic,
channel.
Can you pause the documentary? I think, do you hear that? I think we have a caller, our first caller on GameSocket. Can you route them? Yeah, right. Just route it. So yeah, right there. Okay, caller,
Hello?
can you hear us?
Hello? Hello?
Hello, caller.
Hello?
You are on GameSocket.
Hello?
This is Brian.
Hey, Brian.
And you are on Games.
Brian.
Yes, caller, go ahead.
Brian, it's Mike.
Mike, you're live on GameSocket. We are
Yes.
talking Mass Effect today. What did you want to call in and talk about?
Yes, I know. I'm watching the stream.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Hey, I'm out, man. I'm on my way. I'm on my way home.
Mike. Oh, Mike Graham. Oh,
Yes.
I'm thinking you're a viewer. Sorry. So you're.
Yes, the owner of the chair that you're sitting in. Okay.
So you're
hey,
watching. All
I'm
right.
out of. They let me out, so I am. I'm in an Uber
That
right
you're
now.
out?
I just left the hotel. I called to stop the documentary and to let you know. Because I was watching the stream on my phone and you've already aired my business, so I clearly had to call and let everyone know that
Well, that
first
was.
off, the story is not true.
It was
and
actually.
I'm out.
Okay. So I aired it, but it was already on Twitter. So like we didn't break the story. The secret was already out.
What? Okay, did you put it on Twitter? Because obviously
No.
I didn't.
No, I didn't. I didn't know until I saw it on Twitter. So honestly.
Well, hey, did you put it on Twitter? Oh. Okay.
Are you still
Hey,
there?
yes. Hey, okay, so Krisko put it up.
Oh, Chris goes with
Yeah,
you.
so it's really okay. I guess it's a good thing then. So no worries. Krisko put it up. So I suppose it's okay. I had to call to let everyone know that these charges are not what. First off, Brian, you gotta not be like you made something so simple sound so perverted. Like that's just the way you do it all. Okay, first off, this is not like me schmoozing on a quote Brian underage person. This was someone who
I was just reading what the charge that we had heard was said. So I'm not a
Okay,
lawyer or
that's-
anything, but it just said that you were providing a
Okay, I don't
controlled
know, it might be-
substance to a minor. Is all we heard.
First off, you've got it wrong because it wasn't a controlled substance.
Mm-hmm.
Second of all, just I don't know if it's the tone of your voice, but the way you say that, it just immediately sounds bad.
Well, it just may be the
Worse than-
connection that we've got.
Okay, first off, just so that, okay, Socketeers, here's what happened for those who are watching the stream today. I bought one beer for somebody who was yet to be 21, and I did not know that. And I want to make
That's
a
what
side.
that is. That's providing a controlled substance to a minor.
First off, no, that's not a controlled substance, Brian. A controlled substance is a narcotic. This was beer. Totally different. Either way,
Maybe the state of California is different. I don't know.
I don't know. California, you know what? This whole place is ridiculous. The cops here, I mean, it's, talk about liberal nation out here. There is just underbellies of, like, evil happening out here. Either way, I just want everyone to know, I did not know this person was under 21. And I want to make a side note. I love my wife. This was not, no matter how Brian wants to make things sound, this was not an instance of me
By the way,
trying to get down the pants of some underage girl. This was just,
no,
they
that's
were
not at
at
all.
the same place, and I was having a good time buying beers for people.
And that's not at all what I was implying. But you're just so you know, your wife is also wondering what's going on. Apparently,
Okay.
she doesn't know anything either.
Well, of course she doesn't.
She let us in to
Well,
film
I have
today.
not tell
but
her. Hey, well, you better not tell her anything. Okay, she doesn't watch GameSocket, so she's not going to know about it unless you tell her. Krisko's certainly not going to tell her. Dominic would never tell her, so just keep it to yourself. Okay, speaking of, real quick, before we move on, because you got to move on with the show, dude. You are just dragging today. I have to tell, big news, everyone. Krisko, the person who helped us produce the episode at E3, we got to talking. Krisko picked me up from the county jail and took me to the hotel. We got to talking, and we had a huge, this amazing like workflow connection, and we just think on the same page. Things aren't really working the way Krisko thought they would out in Los Angeles, so Krisko is officially coming back home with me, getting on the plane tonight, and going to be the first permanent employee of GameSocket as the official head executive producer.
Wow.
So everyone,
Wow.
put your hands together, Brian. Put your hands together for Krisko.
Well, Krisko, I've never met him, but I guess we'll see them when they get here. So.
Yeah, absolutely. And the other thing, okay, and I also want to say a couple more things before we go. First, before I get off the line here, first off, Brian, you got to stop that documentary. No more documentary. It's the worst thing I've ever seen in my life, and you have to know that. You have to have watched it.
So you text me and you said that it was okay for me to do an agenda for the show. So I think we've already started it. I don't want to. The viewers have already gotten invested in this, so I don't want to just stop it and not show them the rest of it.
Okay.
So
well, they probably think it's a joke. Whatever.
No.
That you've made a joke.
It
video,
is
but it's okay. You can't come on my show and say you're going to do segments about some stupid sci-fi video game and then show a extra show on the show. Nobody wants to watch that.
It's a segment.
It's not happening. The other thing I really want to talk about, I really have to get this off my chest. It is what?
I want to go back to the segment because, I mean, this is something I already started, and I did, because of the financial situation you're in, provide you with extra funds while you're there in LA, and in exchange for that, I got, I increased my share of the company from 5 to 7%, which I haven't seen any paperwork that this is actually a real company, but that's besides the point. So I think my 7% entitles me to at least play this segment, because of the the goodwill I've shown so far, and because of my stake in the company.
Okay. You get 1 minute on this documentary, all right, after this?
It's 19 minutes long.
Okay, well, we're going to give you 1 minute. All right, a test minute. How about that? If you can get a whole minute through without us seeing a close-up shot of, Detective Lauren Henderson's butt, then...
I don't know who that is.
Whoever that
Miranda
person is.
Lawson.
Okay, Lauren Henderson, Miranda Lawson. They're the exact same thing. Fake character name. If we see one more up close butt shot on this this G-rated show, then it's off. Okay, so turn it off. Agreed? Can we agree?
I don't know how I can agree to that, because most of the shots. So part of this documentary is talking about how she's objectified in a lot of circles.
Go to a different angle.
I can't re-edit this on the fly. This has already been made. I don't know what you. This is not something that is a real time. It's something I've pre-made.
Okay, Brian, okay. Just agree to the minute, because otherwise we're going to argue for the rest of Game Socket.
Okay, fine.
Thank you. All right, one more thing before Brian plays his minute of butt, and that is, guys, I have to let you know, if you go to Los Angeles, and this is just burning me up, I got a fire lit inside here.
They do have a lot of. I don't know if you're making a joke about forest fires out there, or a threat, because that's not something that I would do in your legal situation you're in. That's not something I would joke about.
Let me tell you what, I'm going to go flick some cigarette butts in their forest. So here's what's going on, okay? I was telling you a little bit earlier about this underbelly. If you buy a beer for a stranger, and apparently you're causing, mayhem, or whatever it is they wanted to tell me, and you stick up for your rights as a free man, sovereign citizen, they throw you in jail. And they tell you it's for one thing, but you stuck up for your rights, and you let them know that they were violating Article 4 of the Confederation, laws which they should be, enforcing, and instead they conspire together to find those like me and throw them in the slammer for nothing.
All right. So, Mike, I know that you got to get on that plane. So, I know
Brian,
you're in a rush. So
that's over.
We'll get.
Okay. Yes, I have about an hour and a half before I get to the airport, and
Oh my God.
Okay. I'm gonna monitor you, dude. You're dragging. So I'm not gonna interrupt a lot, but I'm staying on the line. Okay, and I'm going to push this show forward because you gotta wrap this up, man. So.
All right. Anything else before we go into the segment here, to the rest of the documentary?
Yeah.
The test minute of the
Hey everyone, this is Mike, and here is Brian's documentary about butt.
Okay, Dominic, can we play the Miranda Lawson documentary, please? No, let's
Mass
start it over from the
Effect.
beginning. Yeah, there we go. Okay, thank you. Here it is.
As soon as I get a professional in here, let's go. Okay.
Pardon me, Commander.
He's only got 7%. He has no leverage whatsoever. I'll just buy him out.
I've cleared the engine room.
Miranda Lawson, the most popular Mass Effect character, and a genetically engineered super soldier built for loving and for fighting. But there's much more than meets the eye with this Cerberus Mass Effect. Miranda Lawson, a Mass Effect documentary, today presented on the Connects fan channel today.
It's really the only reason I called him in the first place.
Like most stories, Miranda's begins at her birth. But, unlike most, Miranda was not born, but created by her father. Miranda was genetically engineered to be the perfect woman, physically fit and modified to be beautiful in appearance. As a child, Miranda ran away from home when she realized that her father only wanted to use her as a tool for his own means.
All right, Dominic, can you pause the documentary? Because I think I'm hearing audio. Mike, are you on speakerphone? Are you on mute?
What? Hello?
Yeah, I think we're getting some audio from your phone there just now.
Oh. Okay. Well, I mean, good timing, because we're going to put a stop to this anyway. So your minute's up. Good job. I think, I think everyone's going to give you just exactly what they think about that. They're going to leave those in the comments.
Okay.
Sucketeers, make sure you let Brian know just exactly what you thought of his masterpiece.
Socketeers, I'll definitely tweet out a link to this, to the full version of the documentary if you want to see the whole thing. I apologize that we had to stop in the middle of it, but I guess it's a preview for those of you that want to watch it.
And just Brian, to make you feel any better at all, we had to move your documentary out of the way because my phone call basically took up the whole time for that segment anyway. So move on. Take us to the next segment, Brian. Let's go.
All right.
Come on. Get through it. Move.
Dominic, are you ready for your segment? Yeah, okay.
So bad.
So Dominic, we has some cheat codes coming up, and let's go to Dominic's cheat code corner. Dominic.
All right.
This is Dom's Code Corner, where I give you all the best cheat codes to keep you at the top of your game. This week, we're doing Destiny 2. Hold on, I'm searching our vault right now. Actually, I just realized that I didn't even look at any codes, and I don't even think there are any codes for that game. Sorry about that. Back to you.
All right, Dominic. Thanks again for that segment. It was a great attempt there. I know you're working dual roles, and we kind of got you jet lagged from your experience having to go across the country and hitchhike after your plane ticket was taken away from you. So
Low blow, man.
We appreciate the attempt there. We'll go ahead and move into our next segment. Again, this is the Mass Effect. Game Socket presents Mass Effect, a 11-year legacy episode. And next, we're going to dive into another character doc here. Now, this one is about Liara Tassoni, who showed up in the first Mass Effect game.
Hey, no! No, absolutely not. I'm sorry, man. I am blackballing this immediately. You can't play 2 documentaries. You can't play 1 documentary on a 30-minute episode, okay? It's not that hard. Dude, I don't understand you, man. Are you still there? Brian.
Yes, we're still here.
Okay. Dude, you know, if you want to put your documentaries, you know, on all of the platforms, that's fine. But this is a 30-minute episode. Think ahead, man.
You're saying I can post it on the GameSocket YouTube?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay. Well, okay, so if you're interested in, I've got essentially 3 mini documentaries on Miranda Lawson, Liara Tassoni, and Arya Talok. So if you want to see those, I'll post them on the Facebook and on the YouTube as well. So all right, so we'll go ahead and move. I've got another segment here. This is not a character doc. This one is actually, I'm calling it the Mass Effect Comic Corner. And Dominic, do you want to play the... Yep, here we go. All right, Mass Effect Comic Corner. So, you know, this is a comic. It's not a game, but it is based on the Mass Effect game. And there's several different Mass Effect comic series out there. I think Dark Horse has done all of them, I want to say. But the one I want to focus on and kind of bring to your guys' attention is one I think is a little bit unappreciated, and that is the mini-series Mass Effect Invasion. Sorry, Mike, did you...
What? No, continue. Thank you.
We're getting some audio from you
I'm
again
just
there.
listening. No, okay, I'll turn my speaker off. Sorry about that.
Yeah, if you can use the mute, you want to use the mute function on there on your phone. So, but we have the Mass Effect Invasion comic series. Now, this is a 4-issue miniseries, and it as I mentioned, I guess I didn't mention it, but I did a character doc on Arya, and this is kind of primarily about her. She is she's the pirate queen. She kind of runs the Omega station that we see in Mass Effect 2. She also shows up in Mass Effect 3 for a while. So this miniseries is primarily about her, and she's definitely a minor character in the game, but this whole comic series, this 4 issues, centers on her character as her station comes kind of under attack from Cerberus, the elusive man's sort of shadow organization. This one is BioWare. There's a writer from BioWare. I think it was Mark Walters helped write this one. So he was actually helped with the game. He's also wrote on the comic series. So there's a crossover there. Omar, I think it's pronounced Francia. Amazing artwork on it. There's also some limited edition ones that I haven't been able to get my hands on yet, but we can show you the graphics here of the limited edition versions. This is a great 4-issue miniseries. You can also get the trade paperback. There's a little bit older, so I don't know if they're still in print. I think 2012-ish, 2011, 2012 is when these came out. But I got to give it a GameSocket recommends thumbs up on these. Mass Effect Invasion by Dark Horse.
Okay, time's up. Next segment.
All right.
Sorry, I'm here to move it on, man.
Okay, we're moving on to the mailbag. Mike, I'm glad you're here because we actually had a lot of questions come in, and maybe you can guest host this segment here with me, since we have you on the line.
Yeah, sure. That's fine.
Okay. I did pull Mass Effect-centric questions out of the mailbag this week. So the first one is from Lark Johnson 44, and Lark writes in and he says, I put a shout out on Twitter asking for Mass Effect questions, and Lark says that earlier in his life, 10 years ago, I had a serious drinking problem going on in my life. One of the ways I coped with it was playing a lot of Mass Effect. What do you think about using video games as a coping mechanism to help sort through things like alcohol and drug abuse? Great question, Lark. I've never had those problems myself, but Mike, do you want to chime in? Is this perspective that you could maybe provide some input on? How do you cope with things like that?
Well, I mean, I've always played video games, so I don't have to learn a new hobby to take over, weakness that this person has. So I don't know. I can't really chime in on this one. It's not my ballpark, sir.
Okay. Thanks for the question, Mark. Definitely, if you have that sort of issue where you're dealing with an addiction or an alcohol problem, I definitely say seek professional assistance if you can afford it. I know that not everyone can, so if you can't, you talk to someone about it. Get professional help.
Okay, Brian.
Friends, family.
Brian, people are falling asleep again, so come on.
Okay. Our next question comes in from Matsabol. I'm butchering this name here. Matsabol Stila, I think is one. Matsabol Stila. And he writes in. This is more of a comment. Hey Brian, I love you on the show. Missed you on the E3 episode. What is your opinion on the Mass Effect Andromeda scandal? Now, I guess my opinion on this one is I don't think it's much of a scandal here. That game got really thrown under the bus in a situation where there's minor issues with that game. And sorry, Mike, did you have something to say?
Nope.
I thought I heard.
You can continue. Okay. You can continue buttering your own bread over there, sir. Thank you.
Okay, so going back to Mass Effect Andromeda, that was a game that was really thrown under the bus by the quote-unquote gaming journalists of the time because of some minor issues it had, which were patched and fixed rather quickly. The Mass Effect team spent a lot of overtime fixing issues and really got no credit for it. I've played the game from beginning to end twice. There's with Mass Effect, the great thing about these games is you can get different endings, you can different experiences each time. So I've played them both. I've played it several times. I'm gonna do it a third time here on this playthrough I'm doing. It's a great game. It got thrown on the bus, and I don't know, what these developers did to deserve this kind of, firestorm that the media has thrown at them. But
they made this game that you liked, and then made this segment. Move on. Next one.
All right. This one comes in from Macosta44. Macosta, this is not a Mass Effect question, but I thought it was relevant. Asking what our favorite Kinect coaster sets are.
Oh, come on.
So,
dude, okay, I'm stopping this right now. Next segment, please. You just cherry-picked a bunch of questions that made you feel good about yourself.
Well, I'm just sharing a common, Mike, I'm just sharing a common
Okay, well, where are the Mike questions? Where are the Dominic questions?
Well, we didn't know you were going to be on this week, so,
That doesn't mean that the viewers didn't know that was going to happen. I'm sure they still wanted their questions answered from the creator of the show.
Right.
Probably the most interesting questions are out there geared towards, headed towards my
right. But
inbox.
knowing that you're not going to be on the show this week, I didn't pick questions centered toward asking Mike a question.
Well, that's a disservice to the fans who asked questions this week, because now we've just skipped over to their questions. So.
Well,
okay.
Maybe next week we could do another mailbag when you're back.
All right, guys. Next week we're going to do a mailbag, and it's going to be a show creator question only mailbag.
All right, and real quickly to answer that last question, it's hard to pick one favorite Kinect coaster, but there's the Clockwork. It's probably my favorite. The Clockwork.
Clockwork.
Yeah.
Next segment. Move on.
All right, so we'll go ahead and wrap up the show. I want to thank all the viewers for tuning in, and definitely give us feedback on this. This is kind of our first theme episode. Next week we'll kind of be back to our, I don't want to say our regular selves, because it's actually
don't downplay it.
It's a very big episode. We're actually going to do a double length episode.
So if I could, I just want to say a little something about next week, guys. I know I use a lot of hyperbole in basically every aspect of the way I talk. It's the way I was raised, but this is not an exaggeration. This show next week, you guys are going to want to tune in for. This is the hardest we've worked to put a show together, so we could actually have something really cool and interesting, for you guys to have. Brian and I worked hard on this together, hours and hours, and it was actually fun.
Yeah. There's a lot of editing. We've got a lot of footage from E3 that Dominic brought back. I know he's only there on, I guess he was there on day 1 and day 2, but he only got the footage on day 2. But he's got a lot of, some audio stuff that we've kind of.
Dominic has an ability to get interviews with just the most ridiculous, you wouldn't even be like, how in the world did you get that interview?
How did you even run into this guy? Right.
Yeah. So we'll keep those as a surprise, and I'm not even kidding. Like, some developers that you guys are going to really want to hear from. He doesn't talk to them, like incredibly long or anything, but he's got some good questions in there. They talked to him for a few minutes.
So next week, huge episode. Be on the lookout for it. It is episode 8. It'll be out next week.
If there's an episode to watch this season, like, honestly, this is the one. We got, like you said, the E3 stuff, the great interview. It's going to be a double length episode because of, well, just all the footage we have, and just the E3 stuff, So, and Brian, did a lot of pretty cool edits to that stuff, so you guys can get a really good overview of the second day of E3.
Yeah. So, we'll see you all here back next week. Thanks again for watching this special Mass Effect edition of Game Socket, and keep it plugged in.
Plug it in, Brian.